Hello everybody, my name is Matthew Wachowski and I'm here as your host for Make It Up. Today we're going to go into a bit more of basic scars as opposed to last week where we went over basic makeups. So today we have our guest Max. He's going to be my model today and I'm going to show how you guys would be able to do basic scars and maybe a black eye. Really, it's very simple, it's very easy to do. I'm using normal powdered based makeups today. So then I have a bit of CoverGirl here, has 4 basic shades, all normal skin tones for you guys. That way, you guys will be able to do whatever you need to. So let's get started. And I'm going to start with the one that's closest to his skin, and that would actually be the second furthest from the right. So we start out by putting a small base on him. You could always use a bit more than you'd think necessary because you're going to be spreading this out a lot, making it so he is looking natural still, and he doesn't look like he has makeup on. This layer really you don't want to be seen. It can be just as a slight discoloration, but for the most part it's very easy to do. And then as you start getting this spread out and about to where you would want it to look natural as you can, you'd want to go a little bit darker and make it so he will have a little bit more discoloration on him. Again, very simple, very easy. A lot of you who have done makeup in the past will realize that you're just more or less covering up blemishes right now. So once you think that you are good and you have a good powder-based makeup and it looks natural, you're going to go and move on to darker colors. I'm still using that same basic palette so far. I'm just using the darkest brown that we have on the one side just to make it so he is able to have the discoloration we need. And maybe put a little bit more on, and then I'm going to transfer over to a Q-tip. It's always important to use a clean Q-tip whenever you guys are doing makeup, because otherwise you're just going to spread around colors that you had no intention to spread around. So we're going to be going over and using a clean Q-tip just like I said, and just spreading that brown out, making it look just slightly discolored, so he may have just gotten a slight punch to his face. Alright, and then we start to move on. I'm going to be using an Almay eyeshadow for you guys today. That way you're able to all see and just use whatever colors you need. Again, it is all powdered based, so you always want to break it off first, and then you want to dip your tool, whatever it may be using, into it. I'm always going to be starting out with the brown, just so it's not too much of a contrast in color, directly onto his skin. And again, putting it directly in the center, making it so you can spread it out, and make it so it looks more discolored and he has more of a bruise on his face. Again, always using that clean Q-tip for you guys, so we don't spread around any unwanted colors. And then the other thing is that if you ever need to take away a little bit of makeup, the Q-tip will also absorb a bit for you. That way you don't need to worry about it as much. So then once you have the discoloration visible enough to where you would think it's okay, just want to make it so then you have a bruise. You want to go into a little bit more discoloration. Today I'm going to be using a green. Other people use purple or blue. Personally, I just like green the most. It makes it look the most natural and it looks the most like a bruise. So then you go right into the middle. Don't use too much on this one as opposed to the rest, because in this one you don't have as much leeway in the color. And this one is a lot more noticeable. It's a lot more discoloration. That way you guys are able to just go spread it out again using your nice clean white Q-tip. Make it look like he just got a nice shiner on his cheek. I'm going to put a little bit more on, but that's looking pretty good so far. Looking pretty beat up already, Max, don't worry. And then just a little bit more. I'm going to transfer over to the other side just to spread that down this way. And that's looking just about right. So then he looks like he has a nice shiner on his face, but obviously you don't always just go right into the next color. You want to make it so it looks like he has a little bit of blood, a little bit of gore in there. That way it doesn't look too unrealistic and too unrefined. Scars are normally chaotic and you can't really tell how they happened. So if you put a little bit of red on there, it looks like he just bled a bit. That way you guys don't need to worry as much and it'll look a lot more realistic. And normally when you're doing this, you're doing it for TV or stage production, so nobody's that close to where they will see any of the finer intricacies. So then once you have that nice red base, I'm going to be moving on to my last one, and that would actually be a lipstick by Revlon. This is just so you guys can get a nice hard line of where the scar and cut would be. That way when you have the blood and everything, you wouldn't have to worry about anything as far as seeing it or smudging it. It's very easy to put on and very easy to stay on. So then you go right into the middle, right about where you would think the cut would be, where you've been shading around, where you've been using most of your darker colors. That way you can make a nice straight line. You go make it nice and fine, and then you're going to go make sure you put away that first, and then you're going to use another white Q-tip and just spread that out along it. Nothing too serious, nothing too little, making it look like he just got a nice cut right on his face. So then from your guys' angle, he just looked like he got a nice bleeder. So as far as I got my start, I got it from my brother, and he taught me exactly what you guys are seeing here. You can always go in a little bit more depth and everything with liquid latex and other things that you could buy at a professional makeup store. Personally, I don't mind using this kind of stuff. I feel it's a lot more natural and a lot easier to use as a base. Other than that, with the liquid latex, you would actually use small dampened paper towels or toilet paper and let them harden on his face and dry on his face around the scar. That way you guys would be able to just go and fill the liquid latex afterwards and make it look very realistic. So other than that, that was the show for Make It Up. I'll see you guys again next week where we'll be going more into the liquid latex. And again, I'm Matthew Wachowski. This is Max. You guys have a great night.